I'm Veronica, and I work here at Sunset Bible Assembly. I've also been a preschool teacher for a couple of years, studying early childhood development. And I want to talk about why visuals, and I do have a PowerPoint that you could follow along with. First I want to propose a rhetorical question to you. What is the difference between an academic teacher and a children's minister? I would answer, an academic teacher presents information for familiarity of knowledge, whereas a children's minister is transferring somebody's experience with God through his word and your message. In Nehemiah 8, Ezra the high priest gets up, no camera, lights, or action, and he opens the scrolls, starts reading the book of law, which is so interesting, as we all know. Turn to Leviticus. And he starts reading, and all the people are just paying attention. They're listening intently. Unfortunately, we don't have the option to just get up in front, open the Bible, and just start reading and maintain our children's attention. So I want to propose to you the when and whys of visual aids for your message to enhance their comprehension of what you're teaching them. First, we have prepared PowerPoint. And you could use the triple I threat, which is an instant instructional image. So when you see the next image, this means be quiet. You don't even have to say anything. The next one is get your Bibles. And then you also have transitional images where when they see the color palette, they know that it's time to break up into small groups and it's craft time. Just by the image, because you set up a routine of where they know what that means when it's presented in your PowerPoint. Next, when you're using anecdotes, when you're using verbal anecdotes, you need to remember that 20% of school-age children have difficulty with oral communication. So they have a problem understanding when you say, hey, you guys, it's like I was blinded. It's like they don't get that. They don't have the experience to back up the knowledge of your vocabulary. So whenever you say it's like, prepare an image. So for instance, I used, it was like I was spiritually blinded. Have you ever seen a horse with blinders on? Can everybody put their hands up? Put your hands up like this. Can you see the person next to you? Can you see anything on the side of you? So that's a whole experience that they just connected to spiritual blindness. You can only see what's in front of you. God takes those off, and we all of a sudden can see what his eyes can see. Great lesson. So the why, it is an immediate attention getter, and it's nonverbal. So you don't have to say anything to immediately elicit a response from your kids because you've been using it consistently. It's an image, which says 1,000 words. And also, when you are dealing with a child and you're just competing with them and you're telling them, stop moving, stop moving, stop moving, or be quiet, be quiet, be quiet, you are in a battle with them. But when all of a sudden it becomes an image on the screen where you see, okay, it's not time to talk right now, you don't say that. You point to the screen and you say, and all of a sudden you're leading them to the expectation. You're not battling with them. Next, you have illustrated notes. My lovely assistants, Lily and Anna, passed out some handouts for you to check out, just an illustration. This is for your older students, and it's so good in a mixed age room because when you have younger kids, they're gonna take up a lot of your eye contact and attention, whereas your older kids who are, they got something to prove, just like Pastor was saying, they want to do it by themselves. So when you have a handout, make sure your images are reiterating the focal points that you've already presented in your PowerPoint. Make sure it coincides, it's the same image. And it enforces independence. So it's like you have a small child and they're like, why do they get a pen and a paper? Well, they've been sitting so nicely the last couple of weeks, I think they're ready for it. It's a privilege. They get to take notes. And then it's also a sensory learning. So while you're giving them oral information, they're immediately processing it physically, and it's a thoroughly crafted learning experience of your message. Please refer to that handout, and there's also a slide that they'll probably show in the video of just different examples of what to include, of games, picture matches, things like that, that you can include in your personalized illustrated notes. I also included a time management slot. So this combines images of your PowerPoint and your notes. And the checkbox activity throughout your sermon is the same concept as you going to a dance recital or a children's classical music recital, and you love it. You love it, but you keep crossing out the next person to see when is it gonna be over. You know what I mean? When the kids are like, oh, there's the checkbox, we've already done 2, we only have 1 more and it's over, and it's craft time or whatever. So it gives the older children a time management to be like, oh, okay, I know that I can handle the rest of this sermon because I have a countdown. So third, we have props. Props are super fun because kids love to be included on stage, acting out Bible stories, just communicating with each other. And you can use masks and wigs, and there's a boy on the slide that has a towel and a headband, and do you see how happy he looks? It's a towel. Who knows what that towel has been used on? But he's still happy. And as a wise person once said, keep it simple. Keep it simple. I wasn't prepared for a microphone. But don't get complicated with your costumes, because they need to get up there. You hand them a beard. Oh yeah, you're a rabbi now. Okay? So when you are doing props, make sure that they don't become a distraction for your kids. So if you look at the handout that I sent you, or that I gave you, there's a rabbi in the picture. So when the kid puts on his beard and I did a scarf, you could say, who is this referring to on your handout? Make it a memory game throughout your message. Find things that will keep popping up throughout your sermon, because your kids aren't going to absorb all of your words. They're going to absorb little bits and pieces. And what do you want? You want them to learn about courage, humility, about wisdom, these things. Finally, and something I just want to back up what Mary talked about, which was awesome, the fourth most important, animate yourself. Just look at this graph for a second. 55% of communication happens non-verbally. So you need to have a choreographed sermon, something where you're like, do you know what I mean? Don't be scared to show them what you mean by, Samuel having humility as a 9-year-old, going to his priest and in the middle of the night and saying, what did you say? Or courage. When David went in front of the Goliath, he was courageous. Use that body language to animate what you're saying, because you become the example for them. And children, research supports that when children listen to an animated, expressive storyteller, their comprehension level is deeper, and the likelihood of them retelling the story you shared is greater. Because why? It was an experience they had with their crazy children's minister who wasn't afraid to be whatever it was, transferring the experience someone had with a living God. So what are you doing? Don't be afraid of using these simple, keep it simple, visual aids so that you can offer an experience with God's living word, because it's not just facts that happened 1,000 years ago. It's about a God who he met Samuel in the middle of the night. He met David on that battlefield. And you know what? He's going to meet with you today. Thank you.